welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to go over my April wrap-up and my upcoming May TBR. The first book that I read in April was The Lost Bookshop by Evie. This was a book from the A Tale of Two Trail the Battles game that I play with Kim and Julie over at Expedition Through Pages. I am on Team A, that is Julie's team, the Pirates. And our first prompt was for... This first prompt was for word of the day, and the word was museum mobile. It's a collection of things that move, and that does pertain to this book. And this was our group book, and I did read it. I gave this book 4.5 stars. It was really, actually pretty good. I really did enjoy it. So it is the story of Opaline, Martha, and Henry. And Opaline takes place in a different timeline than Henry and Martha. Opaline is a woman who has escaped her kind of like abusive brother and is off to start a career of her own as a rare book collector and dealer. Martha, in the present day timeline, has escaped an abusive husband. Henry is kind of cheating on his fiancée and is kind of a shitbag, which is fine, I guess. So what connects all three characters is that they are seeking, in the present timeline, Henry is seeking the lost bookshop that he stumbled upon once but can't since find again. And it is located actually right where Martha has taken up residence after escaping her abusive husband. She has answered a want ad and is taken up working as a housemaid. In the past, Opaline actually opens up this bookshop, but it comes and goes to those who seem to need it, which is really super interesting. This book is written for book lovers. There are a lot of bookish things, book references, book smells, book loving, learning to love books, hunting down old manuscripts. This book was written by a book lover for a book lover. I did like this book and I would recommend it. The next book that I read in April is Dune by Frank Herbert. This is a 24 in 2024 read for me. My friend Bianca bought this for me, I think Christmas of 2020 at the gift exchange at work. And it took me until 2024 to read it because I was a little bit intimidated by its world building, and justifiably so. There is a lot of vocabulary, politics, houses, a whole new planet and ecosystem to learn. There's a lot to learn in this book. I gave it 3.5 stars overall. I did enjoy it, but it was a smidgen repetitive with what was going on. It was also just a smidge confusing going between their inner monologues and what was really going on around them. Paulette's having visions, and in having these visions, you're kind of not too sure which future is the future, which I guess makes sense. I guess. Also, I had an issue with this book as far as drinking the still water out of the still suits, the brackish sweat water. Bleh, bleh. Although I will say, as far as the adaptation, the new movie with Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, what a great adaptation. I've only seen part 1. I haven't seen part 2 yet, though it is supposed to start streaming soon, so I'm gonna watch it. I don't really watch too many movies, but this one really was good. I usually don't like them because they get lost in translation and adaptation, but this was definitely seeming to be a movie they made for people who read the book. There was a lot of things you needed to know on your own. So if you didn't quite understand the movie, it's probably because you need to read the book. Sorry. I might continue with this series. I wasn't too sure because you can kind of read this as a standalone. You kind of know where the story is going to go and how it's going to end up just from the prophecies in the book. But there are multiple other books written by the original author, Frank Herbert, and then his son took over after. So I might read the original Frank Herbert books. At least maybe I'll try the next one and see how I like it, because I did enjoy this book and I would like to see more from this world. The prompt for Dune for my reading was for A Tale of Two Trails. It was to start a new series, and I did also use Dune for the Buzzword-a-thon with Kayla from Books and Lala. And the buzzword for the month of April was a nature word. Dune, like sand dunes, was my choice. So, and I would recommend this book, but only to the biggest of nerds, like the Homer Simpson nerds. If you're not a super nerd, this book will not appeal to you. You will be totally in over your head. The next book that I read in April I actually listened to on audiobook was Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, and I listened to an audiobook narrated by Tim Curry, and oh my god, Tim Curry is king, and he should narrate everything. Has he played Captain Hook yet? Because if he hasn't played Captain Hook on screen, it's a damn shame. He did such a good job narrating the book. And the book really, like, I grew up not watching the Disney adaptation of Peter Pan, but the play, like the NBC play from the 60s with Mary Martin is what I grew up watching. I had that on VHS, so I watched it over and over again. And I still enjoy it as an adult today. You can find it posted on YouTube all over the place. And that play was a very loyal adaptation of the source material. So I was pretty prepared for the things that were not in the Disney movie. It was a very good adaptation, that play was. And I gave this book 5 stars. I know it's a children's story, but I care not. It was so good. I loved it. I've always loved Peter Pan. And I'm amazed it took me so long to read this. I borrowed it on ebook from the library through my Libby app. But I'm definitely going to be buying a special edition of this to add to my classics collection. I loved it. And I don't always love classics, but this one holds a special place in my adulting, non-adulting soul. And I would recommend this book to any and all lost boys and girls. That for sure. The prompt for this book, which I keep forgetting to say, this was a classic. So this is from my TBR game that I played recently, which I'll link down below for you if you didn't see it. There was 7 books total. This is one of them. And the genre was classic, and the prompt that I matched it to was a book with the instrument on the cover, and the copy that I borrowed from the library, the Duke's Classic Edition, Peter is playing the pan flute on the cover. So that would be that. The next book that I read in April is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is another 24 in 2024 book for me, and I loved it. It was so magical, you guys, and it is very slow. I'll warn you now. It's very slow, but not very long. It's only 200 and whatever pages, 263 pages, and you are watching things grow in a garden, pretty much. The whole book. But in the growing the things in the garden, the kids are healing and getting healthy and strong and learning what it is to grow, and it's just so beautiful. Such a beautifully written story. Mary Lennox is a little brat, and Colin's a little brat, and one little brat puts the other little brat in their place, and I love it. I gave this book 4 stars. I couldn't give it 5 just because it was so slow. Just a smidge repetitive with going into the garden every day, and there wasn't a whole lot to do. But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. If you need a fresh spring read, I definitely recommend this book to you. It is a children's book. It's a middle grade. And my prompt for this book was another classic. This was a prompt from my library card game. And it was a classic with a blue cover. And it does have like the most beautiful color blue cover. Y'all better buckle up for this one. The next book that I read in April was Maeve Fly by CJ Leede. And y'all, I was not prepared for what I was getting into. I knew it had been called like an American Psycho for the girlies, but they didn't pepper in Marquis de Sade on top, y'all. Like, this book was wild. It is raunchy and spicy and full of debauchery. She's a crazy bitch, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for everything that it was and everything I was not expecting it to be. So my prompt for this was for A Tale of Two Trails. I stole a prompt from Team B. That is the Elephants team. That is... I don't remember the name of the elephant. That's the Team Elephants. That's Kim's team. And one of their prompts was a friend pick, and I gave my coworker Anna, I gave her my phone and let her go through all of my books, and this is the one she picked for me, quite likely for the cover, because she's a very sci-fi and horror reader, and, you know, this definitely gives those vibes, but she did not know what it was about or what would entail it. She's not read it, and she's not going to read it. Now that I've given her a review on it, she's not going to be reading it. She's not a raunchy girly. She is quite reserved. So that's just so funny that she's so quiet and she looks like a ballerina, and like this is the book she picked for me. I think that's so funny. I gave this book 3.5 stars. I did do a 1 hour long video, full review. I will link that below for you if you want to check that out. I definitely recommend it. I get in all the nitty gritty details. It is full of all the spoilers. So if you don't want this book spoiled for you, that's something you should skip. But if you are curious about this book and would like to know more, or if you've read this book and you need to get some therapy, I highly recommend that video. I recommend this book only to the most extreme horror fans and weird lit girlies. Like, if you like weird ass disturbing books, this book is for you. The next book that I read in April was Black as Night. This is the second book in the Darkwood trilogy by Anthea Sharp. I don't know why I love these books, because they're not like amazing, but like something about the Darkwood and the Dark Elves and Thorn just bring me back into the books time and time again. I just want to know more. I don't care for Rose, the protagonist. Her sister Evie, I think, would be a more interesting narrator because she has a different experience of the world than Rose does, and Rose's views of life are so blasé, I can't stand it. And she's just not fun to follow. I would much prefer if this book took place through either Evie or Thorn's point of view, but I digress. I rated this book 3.5 stars, which is 0.5 star more than I did the previous book. I'm not really going to tell you too much about it because it is the second book in a series and I wouldn't want to spoil it. But I would definitely recommend to those who are looking for like a romantic fantasy retelling that is clean with no spice. This is not a spicy book. It is safe for teenagers. It's safe for young ones. It's safe for those of you who do not like spice. I myself am not a spice reader. So I find these books, really refreshing when I don't have to like cringe away from things I'd rather not be reading. I didn't have a prompt for this book. I just really wanted to read it. And I really want to read the next one. There's 3 books in this series and then like additional ones within the same universe of Elfhame, so which I know is the same thing that it's called in The Cruel Prince, but I haven't read those books yet, so I'm fine. Well, that brings up everything that I read in April. That was 6 books total. I have 3 physical copies, 3 ebooks. 1, 2. Yeah. 3 physical copies, 3 ebooks that I read. And we're going to get into my May TBR. Now, May looks a little bit hectic, right? So I have my own library card game, which had 7 books on it, 2 of which I read, Peter Pan and the Secret Garden. I read both of those. And I have 5 more books on it. I have A Tale of Two Trails, which has 3 books on it. I have the Buzzwordathon, which is 1 book. And then I have an ARC copy, my very first ARC, which I'm so excited, so ready. I can't even tell you how excited I was to get my first ARC, and I've since gotten another one. So I'm so ready to, I feel like such an official booktuber right now, and I can't wait to tell you about all those. Big ol' stack. Now again, these are from my library card game, which I'll leave the link below if you want to see that. A Tale of Two Trails, the battle. So I am, again, the Pirates team, Team A, Julie's team, and there's 3 prompts from that. So we're going to go over, instead of reading like what I'm going to read in order, because I honestly cannot tell you what I'm going to read in order, because my mind will change tomorrow. We will go through first my library card books and all of the prompts that are paired up with those. So the first one that we're going to go over is Lasher by Anne Rice, and the prompt for this was next in a series. It is the second book in the Lives of the Mayfair Witches series, which is a spin-off companion series to the Vampire Chronicles, and the matching prompt for that was people on the cover. I think I did it right. There are 2 people on the cover here, and I don't want to tell you too much about this book because it is a sequel, but what I will tell you is, I made up my little notes because I'm so professional, is the Talismaka Documentaries of Paranormal Activity is on the hunt for the newly born Lasher. Mayfair women are dying from hemorrhages, and a strange genetic anomaly has been found in Rowan and Michael. which are the main characters from the first book. Lasher, born from Rowan, is another species altogether, and now in the corporeal body presents an incalculable threat to the Mayfairs. So I kind of deleted everything else that comes with that synopsis because it just gave away way too much that I didn't even want to know. This is over 600-page book. If there's any book I think I might not get to this month, it might be this one. And not for any particular reason other than it's hella long, but it's also like a ghost paranormal almost type story, and I just read one, finished reading one yesterday, but I'll get to that. And I don't have a timeline, so I don't keep a timeline on my own game library card. It's kind of a long-term process just to help me pick books off my TBR, as to where Buzzwordathon and A Tale of Two Trails, The Battle, happen within the month of May. So those I feel I need to get to, and then I obviously have a date that I need to have my stuff done by for my art copy. So if anything gets pushed to the back burner, it might be this one, but I do really want to get to this. It's been like glaring at me from my TBR card. The next book that I plan on reading in May is The Princess Bride by William Goldman. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 30, 40 years, you have definitely seen this movie, heard of this movie, know quotes from this movie. And my prompt for this was an adventure story with a TV or movie adaptation. I love this movie. I've seen it more times than I can count. It is probably the greatest movie ever made, in my personal opinion. Cannot think of a movie that's quoted more or is more recognizable. Like, Harry Potter's more recognizable, but you don't quote Harry Potter nearly as much, I bet. Like, if you say inconceivable, everybody knows what you're talking about. And just in case you just woke up from a coma, the synopsis for The Princess Bride is, as Florin and Gilder teeter on the verge of war, the reluctant Princess Buttercup is devastated by the loss of her true love, kidnapped by a mercenary and his henchmen, rescued by a pirate, forced to marry Prince Humperdinck, and rescued once again by the very crew who absconded with her in the first place. In the course of this dazzling adventure, she'll meet Vicini, the criminal philosopher who will do anything for a bag of gold, Fezzik, the gentle giant, and Inigo. My name is Inigo Montoya, the Spaniard whose steel thirsts for revenge, and Count Rugen, the evil mastermind behind it all. Foiling all of their plans and jumping into their stories is Wesley, Princess Buttercup's one true love and a very good friend of a very dangerous pirate. We all know this story. If this book isn't 5 stars, I'm going to be upset. The next book I plan on reading in May is Curious Toys by Elizabeth Hand. The prompt for this book was, the genre for this book was suspense, and I matched it to the prompt C title. And I just read a book that was supposed to be a thriller that was not a thriller, so I'm hoping this is super thrilly. And it's got bad men doing bad things. So it is the year 1915, and Pin, the 14-year-old daughter of an amusement park fortune teller, disguises herself as a boy to run with the teenage boys who thrive in the dregs of Chicago's street scene, unbeknownst to the well-heeled city dwellers and visitors who come to enjoy its attractions. Riverview Park is also host to a brutal serial killer, a perfumed pedophile who uses the secrecy of a dark amusement park ride to conduct his crimes. When Pin sees a man enter the Hellgate ride with a young girl and leave without her, she knows that something deadly is afoot. The crime will lead her into the iconic outsider artist Henry Darger, a brilliant but seemingly madman obsessed with his illustrated novel about a group of young girls who triumph over adult oppressors. Together, the two navigate the seedy underbelly of a changing city to uncover a murderer few even know to look for. So I would imagine a whole lot of trigger warnings with that. If, this book may not be for everyone. I personally, it takes a lot to disturb me, so I think I'll be just fine. But I'm really hoping that this is a very much thriller, suspense, spooky book. I am in that kind of mood. I'm ready for my summer slasher list. The book I've already read in May is Eventide by Sarah Godman. I'm not going to give a review on it yet, but I will tell you what it's about. The genre I landed on for was fiction, and I matched it to the card debut novel, an author's debut novel, which this was. It was published in 2020. And when the father descends into madness after the death of their mother, Verity Pruitt... Wait, why is my stuff out of order? They're numbered. I can't count on me for anything. Verity Pruitt, her little sister Lila find themselves on an orphan train to rural Arkansas. In Wheeler, 11-year-old Lila is quickly adopted, but 17-year-old Verity is not. Desperate to stay close to her sister, Verity indentures herself as a farmhand, but even charming farm boy Abel actually can't completely distract her from the sense that something is not quite right in this little town. Strange local superstitions abound, especially about the eerie old well at the center of the forest. The woods are playing tricks, unleashing heavy fog and bone-chilling cold, and sometimes visions of things that aren't there. But for Verity, perhaps most unsettling of all is the revelation that her own parents have a scandalous history in this very town. And as she tries to unearth the past, sinister secrets come with it. Secrets that someone will go to violent lengths to protect. And I did read this already, but I will be doing a full review in the near future. Keep an eye out for that. And I will say that this is a YA thriller, though I didn't think it was very thrilly. It's more of a paranormal historical fiction. There's elements of magic, there's a bit of hauntiness going on, there's very small town vibes. It's the first book that I read that's not The Wizard of Oz, that took place on a farm, so it's got all those vibes. And I will tell you, I did enjoy it. So if you're kind of into looking for a ghost story that's not hardcore, there's no spice in this book, I would be able to recommend this to you because I really did enjoy it, but stay tuned for my future review on it. And the final book from my library card TBR is Kiss Myself Goodbye by Ferdinand Mount. My prompts for these, my genre was nonfiction, and my prompt was the title that started with K. And it is a story, it's something of a biography of his aunt. Aunt Munka never told the truth about anything. Calling herself after the mouse in a Beatrix Potter story, she was already a figure of mystery during the childhood of her nephew Ferdinand Mount. Half a century later, a series of startling revelations sets him off on a torturous quest to find out who this extraordinary millionairess really was. What he discovers is shocking and irretrievably sad, involving multiple deceptions, false identities, and abandonments. The story leads us from the back streets of Sheffield at the end of the Victorian age to the highest echelons of English society between wars, which does sound pretty interesting. It sounds like she led an interesting life, but I implore you to try to find a nonfiction book that starts with the title K available at your library right now. Because I had to do that. There are not a lot of options. Most of them were cookbooks. Good luck. And that will bring me over to my buzzword readathon pick for May. And the word this month is every. So the title needs to have the word every in the title. And for this, I've chosen Every Rising Sun by Jamila Ahmed. And this is a retelling of 1001 Arabian Nights, which I didn't realize when I picked it, but it does sound super good. And I am going to butcher the crap out of these names, so I am ever so sorry in advance. In this riveting take on 1001 Nights, Scheherazade, I should have looked this up. Scheherazade. I'm going to look up how to say this for the next video. At the center of her own story, uses wit and political mastery to navigate opulent palaces brimming with treachery and the perils of the Third Crusade, as her Persian homeland teeters on the brink of destruction. In 12th century Persia, clever and dreamy Scheherazade, Shay. We're going to call her Shay. Stumbles on the Malik's beloved wife entwined with a lover in a sun-dappled courtyard. When Scheherazade recounts her first tale, the story of this infidelity to the Malik, she sets the Seljuk Empire on fire. Enraged at his wife's betrayal, the once gentle Malik beheads her. But when that killing does not quench his anger, the Malik begins to marry and behead a new bride each night. Furious at the murderers, his providence seized on rebellious edge. To suppress her guilt, quell threats of a revolt, and perhaps marry the man she has loved since childhood, this name, Scheherazade, persuades her beloved father, the Malik's vizier. Vizier? I'm going to look these words up, I swear. To offer her as the next wife. On their wedding night, Scheherazade, I really have to sound this out. Fuck this name. On their wedding night, Scheherazade begins a yarn. I don't know what that means. But as the sun ascends, she cuts the story short, ensuring that she will live to tell another tale, a practice she repeats night after night. But the Malik's rage runs too deep for Scheherazade's to exercise alone. So as her father persuades the Malik to leave Persia to join Saladin's fight against the Crusaders in Palestine. With plots spun against the Seljuks from all corners, Scheherazade must maneuver through intrigue and the age's greatest court to safeguard her people. All the while, she must keep the Malik enticed with her otherworldly tales, because the slightest misstep could cost Scheherazade her head. I'm going to put that name right here, and you tell me, can you say this? Some of you I know you can't, don't be smart asses. Well, it sounds super interesting. I have it on ebook from the library, but there is a waiting list behind me, and I only have like 8 days left to read it, which I probably won't get to because it's not the next book I'm reading. I may have to buy this. Oh no. And you know, if I buy this book, I ain't buying an ebook. I'm gonna order it. So I might be buying this book. We'll see how it goes. I don't think I could finish a 600 whatever page book. The ebook is that long, but I don't think like the physical printed out version is that long. But I may just need to be ordering this book. So now we're going to get into The Tale of Two Trails, The Battle. And as I've mentioned, and I'll leave her link below, this is the game from Kim at Expedition Through Pages that she plays with her mother, Julie. And I'll leave her page below too. She has a YouTube page. And I'm on Team A, that is Team Pirates. And our first prompt this month was to steal a book from Kim's TBR. Kim gave us an entire list. And out of all the books she listed, I did have one of them that I haven't read yet. And that is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. He also wrote The Midnight Library, but I've not personally read anything from him. And it is... I put a full description here. Why do I need a book? Tom Hazard has just moved back to London, his old home, to settle down and become a high school history teacher. And on his first day at school, he meets a captivating French teacher at his school who seems fascinated by him. But Tom has a dangerous secret. He may look like an ordinary 41-year-old, but owing to a rare condition, he's been alive for centuries. Tom has lived history, performing with Shakespeare, exploring the high seas with Captain Cook, and sharing cocktails with Fitzgerald. Now he just wants an ordinary life. Unfortunately for Tom, the Albatross Society, the secretive group which protects people like Tom, has one rule: never fall in love. As painful memories of his past and the erratic behavior of the society's watchful leader threatens to derail his new life and romance, the one thing he can't have just happens to be the one thing that might save him. Tom will have to decide once and for all whether to remain stuck in the past or finally begin living in the present. This gives me all the Addie LaRue vibes, but like make it man. So we'll see like what kind of differences there are. I'm really curious about that one. And I kind of really just a lot love this cover. I don't know why I'm obsessed with this color, but it's just so pretty. So the next prompt for Tale of Two Trails, The Battle, was a random genre generator, and the genre that was generated on the spinner wheel is horror, which is not a problem for me, but wasn't a problem for Julie. And she picked as her book and as the group book, Turn of the Screw by Henry James. This is a ghost story. And I think the movie is called The Innocents. I think that is based on this book, or at least it really has a very similar premise. A very young woman's first job, governess for two weirdly beautiful, strangely distant, oddly silent children, Miles and Flora, at a forlorn estate, an estate haunted by a beckoning evil, half-seen figures who glare from dark towers and dusty windows, silent, foul phantoms who day by day, night by night, come closer, even closer. Growing horror, the helpless governess realizes the fiendish creatures want the children, seeking to corrupt their bodies, possess their minds, own their souls. But worse, much worse, the governess discovers that Miles and Flora have no terror of the lurking evil, for they want the walking dead as badly as the dead want them. And this book is really short. Mine looks like it's like almost 175 pages, but most of this is bonus material. This book is mad short. I think somebody said the audiobook was like 4 hours, and it is on Audible to my knowledge, and it's probably also on Spotify, being that it's a classic. Usually you can get those Audible or the audiobooks for free, and you can usually also borrow them without any trouble from your library. So if you need an ebook copy or an audiobook copy, those are all excellent places to look, even though I happen to have recently purchased this. And it's only 128 pages, so I will knock this out in one day, no problem here. The last book that I will be reading / listening to, the prompt for A Tale of Two Trails, is a 5-star prediction, and also our group challenge activity. I think it's a group. Our group activity is to write a review based on our 5-star prediction. So for that, I didn't really have a book, but the library came through solid on one of my holds, and I am going to be reading A Mystery of Mysteries, The Death and Life of Edgar Allan Poe by Mark Dawiziak. I think I'm saying that right. If not, I'll put the name right here. I'm so sorry, Mark Dawiziak, Mr. Dawiziak. And just as it says, this is a biography and nonfiction. The reason I chose this for this prompt is I usually end up either DNFing my nonfictions or rating them 5 stars. There seems to be no in between. So I'm hoping this will be another, like, how do you rate a biography really? Like, it either is a biography or it was something it was so terrible you couldn't listen to it. So hopefully a 5-star. If not, I at least tried. And I am already listening to this. I'm currently like 24% of the way into the audiobook. And I'll be listening to that later today. I'm going to catch up on some of my art journaling and listen to that on audiobook today. So that should go well. And now for my most exciting book of the month. This means applause in sign language if you don't know. I do this all the time to random people who have no idea what I'm trying to communicate to them. And drumroll please. Is my arc. I'm so excited. Thank you to NetGalley and City Owl Press for selecting me to read this book. I'm really excited. This is the book I'll be starting later on today when I lay down to read. And it is The Other Side of the Mirror by Dana Evyn. I think I'm saying that. If it's not Evan, it's Evyn. By Dana Evyn. Evyn? Dana Evyn? Evyn? Evyn. Evyn? Dana Evyn. 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 Thank you to Dana, NetGalley, and City Owl Press for this. Now this is the first book in a series, so hopefully I'll take right to it, and it's looking like a romantasy, fantasy, spicy book from what I can tell. And that is 7 years after her family's murder, Ava is attacked by a magical creature and abducted to the fairy realm, where a handsome fae saves her. Bash reveals that he must bring Ava to her fairy soulmate to stop a world-ending curse. She relents, but only for the opportunity to find answers about her parents' deaths. As her journey progresses, Ava delves into her previously hidden magic and grows steadily closer to Bash. But when she meets her prince, she soon learns that all is not what it seems. While mystery and intrigue surround her, Eva makes it might be Ava. It might be Ava. Eva takes it into her own hands to uncover the truth, but what she discovers is beyond her imagination as she unravels the fae's web of lies. This sounds so good. And not only that, it has, like, they get into, I already read, like, the prologue, and they get into the fae world by going through mirrors, which is why it's called The Other Side of the Mirror. And mirror magic is so interesting to me. I feel like there's going to be a lot of unique magic in this book, or at least I hope so. It seems like Bash and Ava are about to be a thing, but then like Fae Prince might be like I hope it's not a love triangle because I hate that. I hope it's like, I hate this man, and absolutely not. Like, I hate the love triangle trope at this point. Like, after Twilight, we should have been done with that. But anyway, I'm super excited. This is the books I'll be reading next. I am reading it on an ebook, so thank you so much again to NetCali and Owl City Press for providing me that book. I am so excited to be reading it this month, and I will have all my reviews. I will be doing a full review of this book as well, so when it is ready, keep an eye out for that. I'll also be linking those down below for both Eventide and The Other Side of the Mirror when I do my full reviews on those. I have already done the full review for Maeve Fly by CJ Leede, so if you're interested in, check that out, and let me know in the comments, what are you reading this month? Are you taking place in Buzz Wordathon? What did you read for the word every? Because I seem to not be able to pull anything out of my ass for this one. Out of all the 300 books I have in my house, none of them have the word every in them. Why was this so hard? I think the air show is this week because I keep hearing planes go by. I hear jets. It's the air show this week. Uh-oh. That's not good. What are you reading this month? Do you take place in A Tale of Two Trails, The Battle? Are you on Team Pirates? What are you reading? I'm really curious. I'm really curious, especially about 5-star prediction books. What are your 5-star prediction books? I'm always adding books to my list. And comment below, like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!